All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. Pastor Dowell here. I want to speak to us here this morning about choices and decisions. Choices and decisions. Now, if you listen to me, I'm going to try my best to do what I can to impart unto you some practical wisdom and life knowledge that if you have the ears to hear, it's going to benefit you. I'm going to tell you what my standard operator procedure has been. Okay? I made many choices and many decisions in this life that I've been living thus far. And I don't mind telling each and every last one of you that my decisions have framed and shaped the person who I am today. Now, when you do make a decision, you have to be faithful and you have to be disciplined enough to see it through. Because you're always going to have opposition coming at you from every level of life. You truly are. I'll give you an example. All right. One example is I remember when I made the decision that my wife was going to homeschool our children. At the time, I just recently got out of the military. I still had some bills to pay. So Mother Carol, she was working um, in downtown Nashville at Regents Bank. She was the ATM coordinator for the Mid-South. And so she would go on trips and fly and do all kind of other stuff and go to business meetings and all kind of stuff uh, when she was in banking. And one day I got a call that my son, my eldest son, he got into a fight at school. All right. Now, mind you, I don't know about everybody else's children, but I know how I raised mine, even up until this point. And so I go there and I listen to what's being said. Come to find out, to make a long story short, not to go in all this, that Chuck was in the right. And the principal, he had a philosophy that says that if somebody hits someone, we can't have people retaliating and fighting back because then when would it ever stop? And of course, I proceeded to say to that principal, I say, okay, then, so suppose I come across that desk and knock the living shit out of you, then we should be good. It should be the end of the story, right? I've not crossed you. I've not offended you. I've not violated you in any way, shape, fashion, or form because your philosophy is that if somebody hits on someone, then you shouldn't be hitting back because when is it going to stop? Of course, then he sat down and looked at me like a deer in the headlights. And I said, okay. So I took my son. We went to the amusement park and went to Dairy Queen and all that old other stuff. I just took the rest of the day off from work. So when my wife got home, I had been sitting and thinking on this the whole time. I have got a decision to make. And the decision I made was I said, you are getting off the job. You are going to homeschool our children. The good thing about my wife, Mother Carol, is, you know, she has been the kind of wife that has always been supportive of every single decision that I've made for this family, pretty much from the time that we've been together. And we've been, married, I think, 37 years now? And I can say that Mother Carol is a very good woman. I mean, after all, you think about this. Okay? I'm going to digress here for a second. I'm going to show you something. All right? So, she's never shot any weapons before in her life, right? So, I turn around and I'm taking her out back. And I have a Kimber Custom Pro Match 2 1911. All right? So, I take her out back and I let her shoot it. It's a 45 ACP, right? I let her shoot it. I figured it would scare the living daylights out of her, and she would not want to pick up a weapon or have anything to do with a weapon from that point on. Well, she shot it. She shot it again and shot it again. You know what she did? She went and got a concealed carry license, and she loves shooting, and she shoots very well. Isn't that something? Another thing, I remember one time I said, you know what, maybe if I get her on the back of this motorcycle. I've done a couple of track days and been in a couple of races on these crotch rockets, right? And I have my race license on these crotch rockets. So I said, and mind you, I wouldn't advise anybody to do what I'm getting ready to tell you what I did, unless you are very experienced, okay? When I was in NESBA, Northeast Sports Bike Association, I rode in the advanced class to let y'all know, for those of you who want to know what skill level that I'm riding at. And you only get to go up to that skill level as you advance in riding it, unless the safeties who are riding on the track says that you can go up to the next level. All right. So I got Mother Carol on the back of the motorcycle, and I took off down the road, long straight, way out in the country. We first rode down the road. I want to make sure there was no debris in the road, no obstacles, no obstructions or nothing like that. I made sure it was in the summertime because I didn't want no deer or nothing coming out and carrying on and jumping in front of us. So I gave her instructions on what to do as far as holding on, and she followed it to a T. So I took off down the road, about 168 miles an hour. Now, she's already familiar with speed because she lived in Germany with me, and she was a military brat, and she had been in Germany before, so she's very familiar with speed and the Autobahn. But this is on two wheels, two people. And I figured that I would scare the living daylights out of her. I had a very good lean angle going around the curve because I took out a lot of air out of the tires. Let me keep going so I don't digress, okay? So by the time we got finished, I took off her helmet. She looks at me and she smiles. She said, that was fun. You know what she did? She went and took a motorcycle safety class and went and got her motorcycle license. In other words, things that I've been interested in, she wanted to do simply because I was interested in it. And that's something. Now, going back to choices and decisions. So she never balked, never kicked, never clapped back, no talk back, no what about this, what about that, because I've already have had a track record of always being a man of my word and making good on my word and not depending on anybody else to take care of myself and my family. So I'm sure she had reserves in her mind, but she never vocalized it, never voiced it. So she just simply complied, got off the job, turned in her notice, and we started homeschooling our children, and I might add, which they did extremely fine. My oldest son decided he didn't want to go to college. He said he didn't want nobody messing with his mind. My daughter decided to go to college, and her being homeschooled by myself and Mother Carol, she ended up going to a Division 1A school, Western Kentucky University, a Division 1A college on an English literature scholarship, full ride. All right, so yeah, Mother Carol was highly invested in their education. She wasn't one of these lazy crap moms that gives a bad name to people who claim to just want to homeschool their children. Because, you know, the majority of American women are self-centered, self-focused, self-absorbed, and lazy. And they just want to sit around, leave the children to manage themselves, and then end up getting older in life. And life has done caught up with them. Their teenage years and flew by. Now they're older. And all they did was raise a bunch of unprofitable buffoons because she didn't have anything in her to pour into her children. So how can she expect anything else out of them? Or how can the children produce anything greater than what they've already had from their mother? Their mother was lazy and lethargic and apathetic and complacent. You can't expect for her to rise above that. But Mother Carol was the polar opposite. And as a result, her due diligence and hard work has paid off for them. I've never once have ever got a call from my oldest son and my daughter that they have been in jail because they've been out in riotous living, cutting the fool, acting the fool, and doing all kind of other stuff. So I guess I can thank the Father for that. So anyway, let's go back on. I made a decision to take Mother Carol off the job. And when I made that decision to take her off the job, I went and got another job to supplement the income. So now that means I'm working 2 jobs. Doing pretty good because I'm meeting my goals. My goals is I wanted to be out of debt 100% completely. And it only took me, and then I actually got a third job. And I was averaging about 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 hours of sleep a night. I would preach on Sabbath morning, and we get finished, we do a little bit of fellowship, and then I would go home and go to sleep. I would get the majority of my sleep on the 7th day, the Sabbath, the rest of the Lord thy God, or as we Israelites say, of Yahweh Elohim. And so I did this for like 3 or 4 months, and then I did 2 jobs for about 6-8 months until I had all our bills 100% completely paid off. And then in the midst of that, I found another job to where I could have my own route, making more money than what I did all 3 of them combined. And I worked that for a couple of years. And then one day it came into my mind, spoken in my spirit, it's time for you to get off this job. It's time for you to stop. It's time for you now to serve me. And I, as a young pastor, I didn't have no congregation but my wife, my mom and dad, my children, and Teacher Shane. That was all the congregation at the time. That was it. And so I would take the money that we would put in tithe and offering, and we're talking about 93, 94, 95, 96, all that. I was still, even paying off all the bills, I was still putting in about, I don't know, maybe $700 a week, and I would not spend the money that would come in based on my offerings. And the reason is because I had a goal. The goal was I wanted to be able to save money so I could buy land. I had already read Leviticus 20:26. I had already read 1 Corinthians about come out and be ye separate. Did all that stuff, right? I read it, so I already knew exactly what to do. I already read Deuteronomy 30, verse 6, where the Most High said that he will make you plenteous in the labor of your hands. And I didn't know how to do none of this stuff. And now I get out here and I buy the land and I know how to do all this stuff. So my decisions has framed me into the person that I am today. And 1% of it is motivation. 1% of whatever choices or decisions you make in life is motivation. 99% of it is self-discipline. I was disciplined enough that when I made a decision, I was going to see it through. No matter what obstacles that come up in front of me, no matter what tried to persuade me off course, I was just going to stay the course. All right? And that's what I'm actually saying here today. That when you make a decision in life and you have carefully thought about it and you've evaluated, you're not going to get all the nuances. You're not going to get everything that's possibly going to be coming your way. But the ideal is to be disciplined enough so as you realize you're disciplined enough and you continue to keep getting more victories, you're developing moral character, and you're developing something that very few people in society has. I mean, a lot of people who are millionaires, not the ones who was trust fund babies or people who had it given it to them on a silver platter and stuff. A lot of people had this one trait greater than everybody else. They were disciplined. They had drive and determination. And they were going to be the best they could be, and they were going to see it through. And their greatest competition, literally, was their own self. Going against their own self. And so these good character traits will follow you all the rest of the days of your life. This message, if you're listening to it now, it will follow you all the days of your life. I give messages like this all the time over on my Patreon channel. Information down below if you choose to actually come over and subscribe and support me in these endeavors right here. But I put out a lot of videos like this on Patreon. I don't too much do this on YouTube. But anyway, so now we hit the next point. The next point in life is you can't worry about what people think about you or what they say about you when they add no value to your life. Did you hear what I said? You can't worry about what people think or say about you when they add no value to your life. It doesn't take much to see if people have high-hanging fruit or low-hanging fruit. It doesn't take much to discern it at all. It doesn't take much for you to slow down and stop and look and see if you can peer into someone else's life and see if what they're telling you either is a bunch of BS, because you can simply look at them, do your own evaluation and say, why should I listen to them? They have no fruits in any aspect of their life whatsoever at all that I can peer into, look at, to determine that they're believing what they're saying or they have made the right decisions in their life. Simple. So I was having a talk with some people the other day, and I had a talk this morning too with my Shia, and I said, the reason why people do not agree on everything, I said, hell, you got the Supreme Court. These are supposed to be the most sophisticated, lawful, statutory minds in this country. SOTUS. 9 justices, right? Now, before I go forward, I'm going to tell you right now that 9 justices on the Supreme Court, it doesn't determine truth to me. I don't care what their choices. I don't care what their decisions are about anything. I'm a free man walking on this land. Free man. So whatever they choose to say, whatever they vote on is totally irrelevant to me, because if it goes against my convictions that is in my conscience, I didn't say beliefs. Beliefs can be altered and changed. Preferences can be altered and changed. But a conviction can never be altered and changed. Me serving Most High Yah, that would never be altered and it would never be changed. People would try to challenge it, but it would never be altered and it would never be changed. Why? Because my mind has been made up. I made a decision a long time ago that I'm going to see this course all the way through. And I've been on it ever since. So they don't define morality to me. So let's go back to SOTUS here. So you have these 9 justices on the Supreme Court that every time you turn around, these supposed to be the most masterful minds in America. They know human law. I ain't going to say common law because they don't know common law. But they know statutory law, right? And they can never, ever seem to agree. 5-4, 6-3, 5-4, 6-3. Always in judgment. So how is it and why is it that these people can't get on the same sheet of music? Why is it that they all just can't, all the way across the board, systemically across the board, ever agree on major choices and decisions? I'll tell you the reason why. Because whether people like it or not, it has to do with your belief system. It has to do with what you personally are convicted on, because people ultimately are going to vote their conscience based on what they pick and choose to receive. Now, the true answer is this. I've learned that people today do not want healthy, intense, vigorous dialogue and debate in a civil matter. Are you going to disagree? Sure. You're going to get upset? Sure. But you and I personally can't be the sum of all wisdom and the epitome of all righteousness. We've got to use some self-autonomy here. We simply just cannot get mad because somebody don't agree with what I am saying, because this is what I pick and choose to believe. And you got this wicked saying that people are saying in this generation, tell me your truth. I don't want to hear your truth. Your truth is not, it's not absolute. Your truth is full of holes. Your truth is based on emotions and feelings that sway and change. We all have got to, first of all, number one, before we can sit down and make a determination, for us to be able to come together, we first have got to define beyond a shadow of a doubt who is sovereign and where we're going to get not only our conviction from, because somebody has got to be able to define what truth is. And it ain't you and I. There has to be something higher and greater than both of us. We've got to draw from somewhere, and it can't be from our own mind. So, what defines truth and who is truth? Well, I just so happen to believe that the Bible defines truth. Now, if we can't believe that, then listen to this word I'm getting ready to use. We will never, ever, ever see eye to eye, and we will never, ever, ever we'll never have strong footing to be on common ground. Because you've got many people interpreting things 1,000 different ways, using eisegesis and exegesis. That's the reason why you have to debate your cause, and that's the reason why you have to vigorously do this in a civil dialogue, openly, vigorously, and discuss it. Because there has to be a common truth, and I just happen to be, it has to be, in my opinion, that the Most High Yah and the Word of Yah is our common ground. If we can't ever agree on that common ground, then we will never come together. That's the reason why you see so much divide, not only in a religious perspective, but socially, economically, perspectives and point of view. I mean, you look even in the political arena, you got Democrat and Republican rat. You got, and then the libertarians and everybody else, they don't even get a seat at the table because they have a monopoly on it, a two-party monopoly system, a two-party dictatorship where they're playing ping pong with the people's minds. But my common ground is the Bible. It's always seemed to work for me because anytime I've come across someone that we've got arguments, you first got to be intelligent enough and healthy enough to know when you're wrong, recognize when you're wrong, admit that you're wrong, and then the most powerful thing that there is in this life is this. You've got to be willing to change. And most people are too stubborn and too stout-hearted and too stiff-necked to admit that they are wrong and change. They will much rather just go silent, stay the way they are, be unchangeable, unmovable in their perspective, position, or what you call their truth, because they don't even want the Most High Yah, the creator of the universe, interfering in their lives, even in their minds. But yet and still, they all want to go to glory. Well, you have to be submissive and you have to learn how to obey. And that word right there stings like an antler when you're talking to people today. You talking about that word, obey. Man, you just got finished cussing someone out. So the main reason why people don't want to have healthy dialogue, vigorous discussion, and debate is because it could be a strong possibility they could be wrong, and they don't want to do that. Because if they admit that the common ground is right, and you're on that common ground, then they have to change the course of their life and get on that common ground. So I don't pay too much attention to people who have opinions, especially if their opinions are not valid, especially if I can peer into their life and look into their lives and see that they don't even believe their opinion because it doesn't line up with the fruit of their life or their lifestyle. I'm in the business of helping strengthen men. I'm in the business of helping strengthen families, to bring them closer together, more in unity. I'm in the business about my father's business, I might add, to make sure that morality, when it's defined, is not defined by SOTUS, the Supreme Court, because after all, in 2015, they made a judgment that the thing that used to be considered to be a mental disorder, they said that now homosexuality, alternative lifestyles, is an acceptable form of lifestyle. And I can't agree with that, and I won't ever agree with that. So their judgment, whatever they did, it may affect civil matters, secular matters, but when it comes to me and my private property and my personal conviction, it has no bearing on it whatsoever. It's not going to change. You understand what I mean? It's not going to change. I don't care what their dissent is. It makes no difference to me. And I would never, ever accept. And I would never, ever, ever in my life go around trying to change my speech to speak in what you call pronouns, so I can make sure that I don't hurt people's feelings that I've never seen bleed before. I never do that. Now, you can participate in that mental gymnastics and this dog and pony show and this circus, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not about to bring more confusion in a world that is already confused. You can forget that. Ain't going to happen with me. So the common ground for me is the creator of the universe and the Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, commonly called Jesus the Christ. And there are a lot of people that say that their position and perspective is right. And I'm willing to challenge that boast with everything that I got, even to the point to admit that if I'm wrong, then I will be admitting that I'm wrong, and I will do more listening to you than you listening to me. But if you're not willing to make that choice and that decision, and I might add, I'm pretty knowledgeable concerning the word and the creator's perspective. I try to make sure I don't insert my own perspective. And if I ever do give anybody my opinion, I always make it clearly known right up front that I'm giving you my opinion. Like the Apostle Saul will say, this is what I say, but not the Lord. All right? So there'll be no confusion. So today I am the man that I am based on decisions that I have made, stuck by them, unwavering. And as my brother Rob says, 10 toes down. I'm in it. I'm in this. And you ain't never got to worry about me not being a man of my word, because my track record and lifestyle has proven that I've been a man of my word. Now, the real question is, are you a man or woman of your word? Are you a man of truth and honor, integrity, and fidelity? Do you have these wonderful, beautiful traits in you that other people see you and your lifestyle? They get convicted. And then, just like Paul said in 1 Corinthians 11, to follow me as I follow Messiah. Are you willing to make that choice and decision? Because after all, we'll vote well for you. But you have to stick by your decisions. And you can't waver. Hope it said something to stimulate thought. Hope you come over and become a patron. If you like what I said, you have the freedom and liberty to share this video on any platform that you want. Pass it around. Give it to whoever you want. All right? Get on here. Look in my archives and see some of the debates I've had with Christian theologians. And you make your own decision. You make your own choice about who spoke the truth and stuck by it, and who spoke facts, and who was asserting a lot of things. You do that. Prove it. I mean, after all, don't be scared to be wrong, and don't be scared to be proven, and don't be scared to be correct either. So anyway, like, subscribe, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Hope to see y'all over on Patreon. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. The King is coming.